What if I told you that in ancient Rome, crying at a funeral could land you in legal trouble? Or that in certain societies, chewing garlic before entering a temple was a punishable offense? These are just a glimpse into the bizarre and often baffling laws that governed ancient civilizations. From the absurd to the downright puzzling, the rules of the past reveal a side of history that's as strange as it is fascinating. Today, we're diving into 15 of the most peculiar laws from the ancient world, uncovering the stories behind them and exploring what they tell us about the cultures that created them. These laws aren't just relics of the past, they offer a unique window into how our ancestors thought, lived, and regulated their societies. Ready to discover how the quirks of history shape the world we live in today. Let's uncover these ancient oddities together. In ancient Babylon, grief wasn't just a private matter. It was tightly controlled by the law. Under the Code of Hammurabi, one of history's earliest legal systems, shedding tears at a funeral wasn't just frowned upon, it was outright forbidden. This might seem shocking to us today, where mourning is often seen as a natural and necessary part of grieving. But in Babylonian society, emotional restraint was considered essential. Public displays of sorrow were thought to anger the gods or even attract malevolent spirits, putting the entire community at risk. The idea of outlawing tears reveals how deeply intertwined religion and law were in this ancient civilization. Babylonians believed that maintaining order wasn't just about following rules, it was about preserving harmony with the divine. Even in the face of personal loss, citizens were expected to show strength and composure, reflecting a society where collective well-being took precedence over individual emotions. This strange law also highlights the cultural emphasis on appearances and social stability. In a world where the afterlife and the gods were central to daily life, controlling how people expressed grief was seen as a way to protect the living and the dead alike. It's a fascinating glimpse into how ancient societies balanced human emotion with broader spiritual and societal concerns. As we continue our journey through the ancient world, consider this. How would our modern ideas of grief and expression have clashed with the rigid expectations of Babylonian society? The forbidden tears of Babylon not only shaped how people mourned, but also offers us a window into the values and fears of a civilization long gone. Moving from the realm of spiritual purity in ancient Greece, we find another peculiar law rooted in respect for the divine, this time involving a culinary staple, garlic. In ancient Greece, consuming garlic before entering certain temples was strictly forbidden. This might seem odd to us today, but for the Greeks, it was a matter of reverence. They believed that garlic's pungent smell could offend the gods, disrupting the sacred atmosphere of their sanctuaries. Priests and worshippers alike were expected to purify themselves thoroughly, both in body and spirit, before engaging in any religious rituals. This law underscores the immense importance ancient Greeks placed on maintaining purity and showing utmost respect to their deities. It wasn't just about following rules, it was about ensuring that every gesture, every action, honored the gods in the most fitting way possible. Interestingly, this ban on garlic reveals how deeply intertwined daily life and religion were in ancient cultures. Something as simple as a meal could have profound spiritual implications. The Greeks took their rituals seriously, and this law reflects their dedication to preserving the sanctity of their sacred spaces. It's a fascinating glimpse into how even the most mundane aspects of life were shaped by beliefs and traditions. Now, as we shift our focus from ancient Greece, let's turn to another civilization with its own unique set of laws, Rome. Here, fashion wasn't just a matter of personal style, it could land you in legal trouble. The Romans had strict rules about what citizens could wear, and breaking these laws came with serious consequences. So, how did clothing become a matter of law in ancient Rome? Let's find out. Moving from the unusual legal intricacies of ancient Mesopotamia, we now step into the grandeur of Rome, where fashion wasn't just about style, it was a matter of life and death. In ancient Rome, the color purple wasn't merely a choice, it was a symbol of ultimate power, reserved exclusively for the emperor. To wear purple as an ordinary citizen wasn't just a fashion faux pas, it was a crime punishable by exile or even execution. But why was this color so fiercely guarded? The answer lies in the extraordinary process of creating purple dye, which was derived from the secretions of rare sea snails found in the Mediterranean. Harvesting these snails and producing the dye was an incredibly labor-intensive, costly endeavor, making purple fabric more valuable than gold. It became the ultimate status symbol, a visual representation of the emperor's divine authority and unmatched wealth. This law wasn't just about fashion, it was a deliberate tool to reinforce the rigid social hierarchies of Roman society. By monopolizing the color purple, emperors ensured that no one could challenge their position or blur the lines of power. It's a fascinating glimpse into how something as seemingly trivial as a color could carry such profound political and cultural significance. As we peel back the layers of this law, it's hard not to marvel at the lengths ancient rulers went to in order to maintain their authority. What other seemingly small details of daily life were tightly controlled in the ancient world? The answer might surprise you as we continue our journey through these strange and captivating laws. In ancient Egypt, cats weren't just pets, they were gods among us. The Cat Protection Act, one of the most striking laws of its time, made it clear harming a cat, whether on purpose or by accident, was a crime punishable by death. This wasn't just about protecting animals, it was about honoring beings thought to hold divine energy. Egyptians believed cats were guardians of homes, warding off evil spirits and even snakes. Their grace and mystery were seen as a direct connection to the spiritual world, and their protection was non-negotiable. This reverence for cats wasn't just a cultural quirk, it shaped the very fabric of Egyptian society. The law reflects how deeply intertwined spirituality and daily life were in ancient times. Think about it, a society so devoted to its animals that harming one could lead to the ultimate punishment. It's a testament to how much they valued the balance between humans and nature. And it's not just about cats. This law underscores the broader cultural significance of animals in shaping legal systems. From sacred bulls to revered ibises, animals were central to how Egyptians viewed the world and the rules they lived by. But what's truly fascinating is how this law reveals a mindset that's both ancient and surprisingly modern. Protecting animals wasn't just about utility or superstition. It was about recognizing their intrinsic value and their role in maintaining harmony. It's a reminder that even in the distant past, humans grappled with questions about our relationship with the natural world. And that's a conversation that still resonates today. Now, let's shift from the sacred to the sanitary. Up next, we'll uncover a law that takes personal hygiene to an entirely new level, one that might make you rethink your daily routine. Stay tuned. In ancient Persia, even something as simple as blowing your nose could land you in trouble if you neglected to do it in public. That's right, failing to blow your nose could result in a fine. This seemingly peculiar law was rooted in the Persian culture's deep commitment to cleanliness and public health. For the Persians, hygiene wasn't just a personal matter, it was a societal responsibility. They believed that maintaining order and cleanliness in public spaces was essential for the well-being of the community. This law also highlights their surprisingly advanced understanding of sanitation. By enforcing such a rule, they were taking proactive steps to prevent the spread of disease, long before the concept of germs was even discovered. Imagine walking through the bustling markets of ancient Persia, knowing that everyone around you was expected to follow strict hygiene practices. It's a fascinating insight into how highly they valued order and health, even in the smallest details of daily life. This law doesn't just reveal their priorities, it also gives us a glimpse into the rhythms of ancient Persian society. From their grand palaces to their bustling streets, cleanliness was a cornerstone of their culture. And while the idea of fining someone for not blowing their nose might seem strange to us today, it's a reminder of how much effort they put into creating a healthy and orderly environment. The gladiatorial games of ancient Rome were more than just a spectacle of combat. They were a testament to the values the empire held dear. Among the most striking rules governing these warriors was the Gladiator honor code, which demanded absolute submission to the fight. Any gladiator who refused to engage in battle could face execution, a harsh penalty designed to preserve the game's reputation as a display of Roman strength and discipline. For the gladiators, this rule was a stark reminder of their role. They were not merely fighters, they were symbols of courage, endurance, and the relentless spirit of Rome itself. Even in the face of almost certain death, they were expected to fight with honor, embodying virtues that the empire celebrated. This law, while brutal, underscores the immense pressure placed on these individuals who were often slaves or prisoners of war. Their lives were not their own, and their choices were severely limited by the demands of the arena. This rigid expectation reveals much about the broader culture of ancient Rome. The gladiatorial games were not just about entertainment. They were a powerful tool for reinforcing societal norms and demonstrating Rome's dominance. The spectacle of combat served as a reminder of the empire's power, while the gladiators themselves became living symbols of bravery and discipline, even in the most dire circumstances. As we move forward, we'll shift our focus to another fascinating law, this time exploring the rules that governed the lives of women in ancient societies. These laws, like the Gladiator Honor Code, offer a window into the values and expectations of the past, revealing how deeply intertwined law and culture truly were. In ancient Sparta, marriage wasn't just a personal choice, it was a civic obligation. The Spartans, known for their unwavering focus on military prowess and societal cohesion, enforced strict laws to ensure every man contributed to the state's survival. Unmarried men weren't merely seen as individuals shirking their personal lives, they were viewed as failing their duty to Sparta itself. These men faced public scorn, labeled with the derogatory term bachelors, and were stripped of certain citizenship rights. Why such harsh consequences? Sparta's survival depended on a steady population growth, with every citizen expected to produce strong offspring who could serve in the military. Marriage and procreation were seen as essential to maintaining the city-state's power and stability. This law reveals a fascinating glimpse into Spartan values, where personal freedoms were often sacrificed for the greater good of the community. It's a stark reminder of how deeply societal expectations could shape individual lives in the ancient world. Now, let's shift our focus to a very different kind of law, one that governed the sale of beer in ancient Mesopotamia. Stepping into the world of ancient Mesopotamia, we find a society where beer wasn't just a beverage but a cornerstone of culture and spirituality. Here, the eighth law on our list took the idea of quality control to a whole new level. Serving watered-down beer was punishable by death. Imagine the stakes. This wasn't just about a bad pint, it was about maintaining a sacred trust. Beer was deeply woven into daily life, used as a dietary staple, a form of currency, and an offering to the gods. Diluting it wasn't just dishonest, it was seen as sacrilege, a betrayal of both the community and the divine. This law speaks volumes about the ancient Mesopotamian worldview. Beer was more than a drink, it was a symbol of purity and abundance, essential for survival and spiritual connection. The severity of the punishment underscores how seriously they took both trade and religious practice. It wasn't just about protecting consumers, it was about upholding a moral and social order. This strict regulation ensured that brewers and merchants remained honest, fostering a culture of accountability that extended far beyond the marketplace. What's fascinating is how this law reflects the intersection of economics, religion, and daily life in ancient Mesopotamia. Beer was a unifying force, connecting people across social classes and serving as a bridge between the earthly and the divine. By enforcing such a harsh penalty, the society not only safeguarded its most cherished resource, but also reinforced the values of integrity and trust that held their world together. This law offers a unique glimpse into the priorities and complexities of one of history's earliest civilizations. In ancient China, tea wasn't just a beverage, it was a cornerstone of the economy. So much so that evading taxes on tea wasn't just a slap on the wrist, it was a crime punishable by death. The government heavily relied on tea taxes for revenue, and the penalties for dodging them were as harsh as they come. This law highlights just how vital tea was to the empire's financial stability. Beyond the economic angle, it also underscores the broader cultural emphasis on order and compliance in Chinese governance. Taxes weren't just about money, they were a symbol of loyalty and responsibility to the state. Moving from the world of tea merchants to the high seas, we encounter a law that governed the behavior of sailors in ancient Phoenicia, a civilization renowned for its seafaring expertise and trade dominance. These sailors weren't just adventurers, they were the backbone of an empire built on maritime prowess. And as we'll see, their actions were tightly regulated by laws designed to maintain order on the water. In ancient Phoenicia, where maritime trade was the lifeblood of the civilization, sailors faced a law so strict it could cost them their lives. If a sailor was caught sleeping while on watch, the punishment was swift and severe. They were thrown overboard. This wasn't just about discipline, it was a matter of survival. Phoenician ships carried precious cargo and faced constant threats from storms, pirates, and the unforgiving sea. A single moment of negligence could jeopardize the entire crew and their mission. This law highlights the immense pressure and responsibility placed on sailors, who were the driving force behind Phoenicia's legendary trade networks. It also reveals the harsh realities of life at sea, where the stakes were as high as the waves. Next, we'll journey to ancient Athens, where another fascinating law shaped the behavior of its citizens in surprising ways. Moving to ancient Athens, we encounter a law that might seem extreme by modern standards, but reveals the deep cultural and economic importance of olive trees to Athenian society. Harming or destroying an olive tree wasn't just a minor offense, it was a crime punishable by death. At first glance, this might appear excessive, but when you consider the role olive trees played in Athenian life, the severity of the law begins to make sense. Olive trees were more than just a source of food and oil. They were sacred symbols tied to Athena, the city's patron goddess. According to myth, Athena gifted the olive tree to the people of Athens, making it a divine symbol of prosperity and divine favor. Beyond their religious significance, olive trees were the backbone of Athens' economy. Olive oil was a major export, traded extensively across the Mediterranean, and even used as a form of currency in some cases. The trees themselves were seen as a public good, essential for the survival and wealth of the city-state. Damaging one wasn't just an act of vandalism, it was an attack on the community's spiritual and economic well-being. This law underscores how closely intertwined agriculture, religion, and law were in ancient societies. Interestingly, this regulation also highlights how ancient lawmakers recognized the long-term value of natural resources. Olive trees take decades to mature and bear fruit, so destroying one wasn't just a loss for the present but a blow to future generations. The harsh penalty served as a deterrent, ensuring that these vital resources were protected at all costs. It's a fascinating glimpse into how ancient societies balanced immediate needs with long-term sustainability. This law also reflects the broader trend of using strict penalties to safeguard what was considered sacred or essential. In Athens, olive trees weren't just plants, they were a symbol of identity, prosperity, and divine connection. Protecting them wasn't just about preserving the economy, it was about upholding the city's spiritual and cultural legacy. As we shift our focus from Athens to Rome, we'll explore how laws in the ancient world extended beyond agriculture and into the realm of social behavior, particularly regarding the treatment and regulation of slaves. The contrast between these laws offers a deeper understanding of how different societies addressed the challenges of their time. In ancient Rome, silence wasn't just a virtue, it was a mandate, especially for slaves. Under the laws that governed the empire, slaves were prohibited from speaking in the presence of their masters unless explicitly allowed to do so. This seemingly simple rule was far more than just a form of etiquette. It was a calculated tool of control, designed to reinforce the rigid social hierarchy that placed slaves at the very bottom. By stripping them of their voice, masters ensured their dominance remained unchallenged, reducing enslaved individuals to little more than property. The law not only highlighted the dehumanization of slaves, but also mirrored the broader power dynamics of Roman society, where authority was absolute and dissent was unthinkable. This practice offers a stark reminder of the oppressive realities faced by enslaved people in the ancient world, where even the most basic forms of self-expression were denied. The silence imposed on slaves was a physical manifestation of their lack of autonomy, a constant reminder of their place in a system that valued them only for their labor. But while Rome's laws sought to suppress the voices of the enslaved, they also inadvertently underscored the resilience and humanity of those who endured such conditions. Their stories, though often untold, continue to echo through history, challenging us to confront the legacy of these ancient injustices. Now, let's shift our focus to another ancient civilization, where laws dictated the behavior of women in ways that were equally revealing of the societal norms of the time. Moving from the fascinating beauty rituals of ancient Egypt, we find ourselves stepping into a world where cosmetics were not just a personal choice but a legal requirement. In ancient Egypt, women were obligated to wear makeup when attending public events. This wasn't merely a matter of personal preference or fashion, it was a reflection of deeper cultural values. Makeup symbolized beauty, health, and social standing, acting as a visible marker of one's place in society. For the Egyptians, cosmetics also held practical and religious significance. They believed certain makeup ingredients, like kohl, offered protection against the harsh sun and even warded off evil spirits. But beyond its spiritual and practical uses, this law reveals how deeply beauty standards were intertwined with societal expectations. Women were judged not only by their actions but also by their appearance in public spaces. This mandate underscores the pressures placed on women to conform to specific ideals, blending aesthetics with legal obligations in a way that feels both ancient and eerily familiar. It's a reminder of how deeply beauty and identity have been linked across cultures and centuries. As we leave the banks of the Nile, our next stop takes us to ancient India, where laws shaped not just appearances but the very behavior of citizens. The intricate legal systems of this civilization offer a fascinating glimpse into how society sought to regulate daily life in ways that were both innovative and, at times, surprising. In ancient India, cows weren't just animals, they were sacred beings, deeply woven into the fabric of spiritual and daily life. Harming a cow wasn't just a crime, it was considered an act against the divine itself, punishable by death. Cows were seen as embodiments of purity and generosity, providing essential resources like milk, which nourished families, and labor, which supported agriculture. This wasn't merely a law, it was a reflection of the profound reverence Indian society held for these creatures. The protection of cows also illustrates how religion and law often intertwined in ancient cultures, shaping norms that went beyond practicality and tapped into the very soul of a civilization. This law wasn't just about preserving life, it was about preserving a way of life, one that saw the sacred in the everyday. Up next, we journey to ancient Persia, where another fascinating law reveals how ancient societies maintained order and harmony. In ancient Persia, truth wasn't just a virtue, it was a matter of life and death. Under their legal system, lying under oath wasn't just frowned upon, it was a capital offense punishable by execution. This stark consequence highlights how deeply the Persians valued truth and integrity, especially in their courts of law. Their legal framework wasn't just about maintaining order, it was a reflection of their broader cultural and moral principles, where honesty and justice were held as sacred pillars of society. This truth mandate reveals a fascinating perspective on how ancient civilizations sought to uphold ethical standards through strict legal measures. It wasn't merely about punishing deceit, it was about fostering trust and fairness in a system that relied on the word of its people. Even today, this ancient Persian law invites us to reflect on the role of truth in our own legal and moral frameworks, reminding us that the foundations of justice are often rooted in timeless values. From forbidden tears to sacred cows, the 15 strange laws from the ancient world have taken us on a journey through the minds of early civilizations. These rules, while often puzzling to modern eyes, reveal the priorities, fears, and aspirations of societies that shaped the foundation of human history. They show us how people sought to create order, maintain justice, and make sense of the world around them, even if their methods seem peculiar by today's standards. What's truly remarkable is how these ancient laws continue to echo in our modern legal systems and cultural practices. Many of the principles they were built on, fairness, protection, and societal harmony, are still at the core of how we govern ourselves today. While the specifics may have changed, the human desire for structure and meaning remains a constant thread throughout history. As we wrap up this exploration, take a moment to reflect on how these ancient laws influence your own understanding of justice and tradition. What might future generations find strange about the rules we live by today? If you've enjoyed uncovering these legal mysteries, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us continue delving into the fascinating stories of our past. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the strange and captivating world of ancient laws.